The Fallen Eagle. Dawn of the Dark Ages is a mod I've covered before and I have done an entire series on previously, and it's one of my all-time favourite mods for Crusader Kings 3 and probably some of yours too. The detail, characters and the current date really makes for some memorable experiences, with the giant Eastern and Western Roman empires attempting to take over each other while the Celts fight for freedom in Britannia. And recently they just dropped a pretty massive update for the mod. So I just wanted to do a quick video showing you all the new things and give a brief little overview to help you guys when you decide to jump in and play. And if you like the sound of these new governments and just want to play them in the base map, you can even do that. They released Governments Plus as a standalone mod, so the link for that will also be in the description. And I did just want to quickly say, if you are new around here and like the video, be sure to subscribe. And if you enjoy my content and want to support me, consider becoming a channel member. Anyway, let's jump straight into it. The first big change is for Imperial Governments like the Western and Eastern Roman empires. You get 3 new policies to work towards progressing. The first one is military policies. Now you will notice it kind of boosts your men-at-arms with things like maintenance and the amount of regiments you can hold, and even an insane 160% movement speed buff at level 3. But be aware though, you will be sacrificing 85% of your levies, which may seem like a lot, but really by the time you can actually change this, you will basically be ready to stop using levies, so it's really not all that bad. The next one is Civic Policies, which unsurprisingly is my favourite, as my playstyle is to just get as much money as possible. So with this, you can get some more taxes and even make your direct vassals like you a little bit more, just making your life that little bit easier. And the last option you have is Diplomatic Policies, which will get you a little more taxes while making the people around you and even other independent rulers like you a little bit more, which will be incredibly useful for when you need allies and so on later in the game. But as you can see, you can't just click and purchase the next upgrade like Authority. There's progress bars under each one, and these 3 bars are the most essential things to a successful empire. Yeah, increasing them is great to get some nice little bonuses for yourself, but if you don't work on what you need to, each policy will fail, one by one, causing all vassals to lose 200 opinion of you, which itself is horrible and will certainly cause some pretty painful consequences. But if you let all 3 fail, the empire will completely collapse, gone forever, leaving you with just your personal domain. So of course you need to be like incredibly careful of this. So your warfare policies are controlled by how much power you have and the allies you have. To increase your civic, you must have a high development and control across your domain, as well as creating more buildings and such. And diplomatic is all about having good relationships with your vassals and allies. And this is honestly a great feature, as it keeps the empires on thin ice, giving them more to manage. And if you do decide to play as one of the Roman empires, it really adds another level of challenge to the game. So yeah, I really like what they have done with that part. Now I am sure there's many people just like me who would prefer to play as a vassal of one of the Roman empires, so they even added some new stuff for you guys too. From what I've seen, all vassals will have centralization and decentralization policies. Basically, the more you upgrade your centralization policies, the more taxes and levies you give your liege, as you're basically deciding to support them. Now you will lose a fair chunk of dread, but also gaining big increases in opinion from fellow vassals, as well as more development and control. So on the opposite side, you have decentralization. Leveling up this will of course decrease how much levies and taxes you give your liege, while coming at some pretty big costs of opinion, development and control growth. But I really like this mechanic as well, as it's pretty simple, but it puts even more control into the vassals' hands, and it gives them a fairly easy way to control the power their liege can have. Now let's say if the empire does collapse due to bad management, every former vassal will have a new decision to adopt autocratic ways, as former empire vassals will have bureaucratic, leaving you with just a blank imperial laws page. Changing to autocratic will bring back the policies, allowing you to further build your power with these upgrades, plus they're much easier to manage on like a way smaller scale. Like it's way easier to get the high development and so on. Another thing you can do with either empire is to restore the Praetorian Guard. Now this costs quite a lot of money, and by a lot I mean 2,500 gold. But to bring back such an elite level troop, I certainly think it's worth it. And you can also create custom legions in counties for 2,000 gold each. Be aware though, as the county you choose will be granted away to somebody else. But these legions do bring powerful armies to all your battles, although you can only call them once every 5 years. But being able to call armies of 1,000 legionaries to your battles is pretty insane. And the special Praetorian Guard brings 1,500 men, which is a great deal, only 500 extra gold for 500 more high-level troops. Basically an upfront cost of elite level mercenaries. Now this is a feature I'd actually love to see implemented some way into vanilla for certain empires, but I'm interested in hearing what you think about that. As well as all that extra amazing stuff for the Romans, they have added even more for you to try. Like with the Sassanid Empire also having a unique government, the Iran Shah bureaucracy, giving new ways to manage your vassals with the Centerlization contract, which decides how many levies and taxes must be given. And lastly, for government, the nomadic government, with their focus on constantly moving and rarely staying still. So a county's development is completely ignored and allows you to raid for loot, as well as a new Casus Belli, the Grand Raid, that can be done once every 3 years, giving you the county title if you do win, as well as a load of prestige and renown. And lastly, to wrap this up, there's a few new decisions added, ranging from giving you the ability to claim your emperor's throne, giving you a press claim, which is pretty incredible for only 300 gold. And lastly, the ability to establish the RedSea Empire, giving you some nice modifiers like Red King, and your dynasty getting the Red Monarch's modifier for 1,000 years. Now to get all this, I'm fairly sure you need to be one of the African cultures, and of course just control a few titles too. But I love that they added this as well, away from the main focus of this time period, but it's still a lot of fun to try. Overall, I really like this update. It added so much to the entire mod, and it brings so much more challenge to the empires. What's even more insane though is their plans for their future start dates, like 476, 532, 632 and 768. And I really cannot wait to see what they manage with these dates too. If they're even half the quality of the current 359 start date, it will be amazing, I'm sure. Anyway, yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the update to this mod. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. End the video with a massive thank you to all the channel members. We have Bayek von Quark, Arcane, Damien, Intermio 1, Irrelevant, Luke Jarrett, and Zigadelic. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.